Hi, I'm Ross Wright. I'm the Executive Director at Hope and Home, and we're talking about love to nurture. Love to nurture is a philosophy, it's a parenting philosophy that we use here at Hope and Home that guides us in the way that we work with the children that come into us from foster care. Now, this philosophy is over 20 years old. I think we wrote a book on it called Kids in Crisis about 10 years ago. And it has helped us quite a bit in terms of having a way to think about how do we parent. Now, it was designed originally to work with kids in the residential treatment world. It was originally designed to work with kids coming into residential treatment programs from all over the United States. Very, very, very difficult situations, very, very difficult kids, and parents who weren't parents. These were staff members who were young, inexperienced, and they had to be brought up to speed very, very quickly to work with some of the toughest kids in the nation. Love to Nurture was the methodology that was created by a small group of psychologists whose expertise was in behavioral modification, behavioral management. And now this group of psychologists came together, worked with me, and we designed a program that we call Love to Nurture. It is outlined very well in my book, Kids in Crisis, but we're going to do just a really quick outline of it here. There are four basic components to Love to Nurture. Number one, relationships, relationships, relationship. The entire book and the entire philosophy is based on the idea that if we don't have relationships with people, we can't do anything, okay? We have to have a relationship. The kids need to be kids need to feel safe. They need to feel emotionally safe as well as physically safe. And they have to know that the people that are around them actually care about them and want them to be successful. So one of the things that we talk a lot about in Love to Nurture is working with kids, not against kids. Working with them to help them see what their potential is and where they can go, as to always feel like we're fighting with kids and challenging kids. So the first step in Love to Nurture is to form a relationship. Okay, show them that you care about them, show them that you love them, show that you have their best interest at heart. Find some way when they start resisting you to go with the resistance instead of against the resistance. Team up with them, be part of who they are and where they're going. That's a very, very important thing for them to know, is that you are on their side. That is the very first step to Love to Nurture. We often talk about accountability in this world. Accountability seems very, very important. It is, but it's not as important as having a relationship. And so one of the things that we talk to parents about is slow down, back up. Don't be focused on getting your kid to achieve and be the best soccer player, best football player, have straight A's. Back up, slow down, form a relationship. Once the relationship is formed, everything else can happen. Now, there's an adage that I use in the beginning of the book. I didn't come up with it. I don't know who did, but it talks about change, and it talks about people don't want to be changed. And what it says is that when we try and change people, they resist. Okay? That's very important for us to understand, is that rules without relationship equals rebellion. Rules without relationship equals rebellion. Relationship without rules is chaos. We know we have to have rules. So it is the proper interplay between rules and relationship that creates a family. We have to create boundaries. We have to create guidelines. All these things are important, but if we do it without relationship, we're going to fail. So the number one thing that we talk about in Love to Nurture is forming a relationship. Now, when you are a foster family and you have a child dropped in on you out of the blue, that's a lot of work. They might be 16 years old. You've lost out on 16 years of normal relationship building had you had that child yourselves. So how do you form a relationship with a child that you've just met? That's the question. We talk about that in the book. We talk about that here at Hope and Home, but it is critical. Form a relationship. Rules without relationship equals rebellion. We can't talk about rules until we have relationships. So rules without relationship equals rebellion. First step of Love to Nurture, have a relationship. Second step, now we're going to introduce an interesting word. It's a little more complicated. It's the word teleology. It's from the Greek. Telos meaning the end, ology meaning the study of. Teleology is the study of the end, of becoming, who we are and where we're going. We can't analyze anybody or anything just in terms of who they are. It's like grabbing us and putting us down on a petri dish or on a slide and trying to figure out who we are. That doesn't work because we're complex human beings. What we have to analyze is, where are we going? And that's what teleology talks about. The art of becoming. Who are we becoming? Once we understand teleology, then we have a better sense of looking for where people are going and aligning with them to help them get where they're going. Imagine someone coming up to you on the street and saying, how do I get home? And then you just pointing in a direction, say, go 3 miles this way, 2 miles that way. That's an absurd response because you don't know where they're going. Same thing with parenting. Same thing with helping somebody else in your life. If they come up to you and they look confused, don't just tell them where to go. Figure out where they're going. Come alongside them, figure out where they're going, and help them get there. A tremendous amount of power is released when you can do that. A tremendous amount of power that builds on the relationship that you have when someone realizes that you actually care about where they're going. You actually care and you're going to help them get there. Our first step in Love to Nurture is form a relationship. Our second step is teleology. Help someone figure out where they're going, help them figure out what makes them tick, and help them go there. Those are the first 2 steps. The third step is what we call avenues of achievement. Help them be successful. Okay, this is critical. Most of the kids that come into foster care have failed over and over and over again, and they have this sense of whatever. They have the whatevers. They don't try anymore. Scientists and behavioral scientists call this learned helplessness. Let's get beyond learned helplessness, okay? Let's help them succeed. Let's find a way for them to be successful. Let's find an avenue of achievement for them to do what they want to do and actually see that it works. If we can help kids be successful, if we can be their champion, then they're going to see that success and they're going to build on it. And they're going to build on it over and over and over again. And we take a child that feels beaten down, they can't do anything right, and we help them become successful. So what are the first 3 steps? Form a relationship, teleology, figure out where they're going, and then third, help them get there. Let's create avenues of success. Okay, it's one thing to know where you want to go. It's another thing to get there. And if you can become their coach, how often do we as parents become their critic? Think about that. We don't want to be their critic. We want to be their coach. We want to share in their successes. Don't allow yourself to get boxed into a position where all you're doing is criticizing over and over and over again. Doesn't that feel awful? It does, and it doesn't work. So we have to get out of being the critic. And what we have to become is the coach and the cheerleader. So number 1, relationships. Number 2, teleology. Number 3, avenues of achievement. Once we've done all 3 of those things, what's the final step? Rewards. We have to see the fruit of our labor. We have to see what happens when we're successful. We have to see why this was worth doing. Help kids see that what they can do can have a beneficial response, and that's a reward. Now, we can talk about small rewards, like with little children, we have point sheets, but also with bigger kids, we can help them see the rewards of their labor. So, number 1, let's form a relationship. Number 2, let's figure out where the kid that we're working with is going and come alongside them. Number 3, let's help them map out an avenue to become successful. And number 4, once they are successful, let's reward it. There's an adage about rewards, and that is be very, very careful what you reward because you're going to see a lot more of it. So be thoughtful about what you're rewarding. Make sure that you're rewarding the behavior that you want to see more and more of. Okay? But once you do, it's a very, very powerful thing to do. Again, relationship, teleology, avenues of achievement, and rewards. You've just learned the 4 basics of Love to Nurture. You can learn a lot more by getting my book. It's available on Amazon. You can also get it through Hope and Home, and just by learning Love to Nurture as a philosophy. Thank you so much for tuning in.